Seems there's nothing for me to do this morning. I guess they don't need me at the police department. Not that I mind. Okay, we got choices. We got Remy, Lorem, or Adine. I guess we'll go with Lorem. Alright. Hello, hello. Alright, come in. Okay, we're at Lorem's house. Honestly, I can't believe you agreed to do this again. What? I don't believe it either. It's my pleasure. Now they've had the chance to work through everything from last time, we can do some real work. Sounds great. I did a staggering amount of research on mythical humans. Let me show you some of the stuff I found. Sure. We sat down at the coffee table. Lorem opened up a laptop and started to type away. Seeing the laptop brought back memories. In our world, they had become obsolete a long time ago. Before I show you these images, I should probably tell you that some of them are really weird. Just don't take it the wrong way. Okay, you already told me about the four-headed human. I think I can handle it. Okay. Okay. Sure. He looks friendly. This one's supposed to be one of our ancestors. Ancestors, well, it does remind me of some of the dragons I've seen here, but I'm not sure what humans have to do with this. You remember the myth about our creator turning into a dragon, right? Yeah, he did tell us about that. Now here's an interesting question. What species did that human turn into? There are a number of dragon species nowadays that aren't genetically compatible with each other. Did the human choose one of them? Did they perhaps procreate? A shared ancestor is one option. This would mean that the different species split after the human's involvement in our creation. If human DNA was involved in some way, this might explain how our different species came to be. Take a far ancestor of ours and apply various amounts of human DNA. The result would be a number of different species, each with a different amount of resemblance to humans. Okay. Interesting. Now, it has been said that an upright stance and being able to walk on two legs is a more human trait. Right. Fine. In any case, it's one of the things that makes humans unique. As a result, some people believe that certain species share more traits with humans than others. They think it makes them more noble or something. Luckily, this doesn't happen very often. Wow, racism amongst the dragons. You can walk on two legs, can't you? Sure. In this theory of shared human DNA, this puts me somewhere in the middle, since I have wings and horns. Okay, fine. Look at this one. Okay, what's this one look like? Oh, it's one ugly one. Looks like a, I don't know, a troll or something. Don't want to live in the same town as this one. Not sure if this is much closer. What's with the horns? Yeah, this one is the scary one. Or you can't always choose your neighbours, and this won't be any different in my game. I'm not sure he's a particularly friendly one though. Actually, I think this is supposed to be a human female. Okay, fine. There are some that don't think humans are friendly at all though. Really? So far I've only heard positive things about us. Some interpretations of our myths don't exactly paint you in the best light. There are also people who oppose the idea of human worship and what their involvement has meant for us. Okay, in what way? They say the human interference was unnatural and that we need to get back to our roots. And how do they think they can do that then? Apparently, it means refusing to use modern technology and living in caves or the wilderness again. Like, sure. Like an animal. Pretty much. Most of us think those people are crazy though. They sound like the part. I see. As long as they aren't hurting anyone, I guess. They're harmless really, I'll take your word for that. You probably won't see one of them around here anyway. This is an interesting style though. Do you know how these pictures were made? No, I'm sure that information was provided when I looked them up in the library, but I didn't copy all of that down. And you're using these as references? I'll make do with what I can get. Maybe, now you can see why I wanted your help. Okay, what do you want from me? I just want to make some quick sketches. You can stand over there by the wall. Okay, I can certainly do that. Okay, I'm going to do some life modelling for Lorem. I walked to the spot he indicated. When I took my place, I saw that he'd laid out a number of pens, paper and other art supplies on the table. Okay, this is going to take a while, isn't it? I'll try to be quick. you want me to strike a pose or something? A T pose would be a good place to get started. What's that? You just put your arms out, mate. Just point your arms sideways so you look like a giant T. Okay, I'll get it. Raising my arms to the sides, I wondered how long this would take. Then you could do an X and then you look like the Da Vinci drawing. That would be sweet. Great, now try to stay as still as possible. Okay, can I still talk? Sure, as long as you don't talk with your arms. Alright, let's do it. As I wasn't allowed to move my head, I stared at Lorem sketching my figure. This went on for a few minutes, until I suddenly heard the sound of a door opening. Oh, hello. It's Ibsen! We've met just now, actually. Yo, Lorem, what's up? Alright, yeah, we've got a visitor today. I totally forgot about that. Are you still working with the police? Yeah. You don't mind if I take a seat, right? Okay, it's now getting more crowded. You just want to study me. That's weird. Like you aren't doing that already. Besides, this room is mine as much as it is yours. I'll just watch and be quiet. I thought you had some experiments to run. And they are running. I'd rather not be confined to my tiny room for the next 2 hours, staring at the ceiling and waiting for them to finish. But no experiments on Ushio. Yep, don't touch. Anna's doing enough to me right now. Okay, I'll just sit here and maybe take a few notes. Sorry, Ushio, this is my roommate and longtime best friend, Ibsen. Nice to meet ya. His scientific bluntness may be off-putting, so please bear with him. That's no problem. Speak for yourself. So much for these two being best friends. Alright. Lorem returned to his drawing, the silence only being interrupted by the strokes of his pen. Something interesting happened at work today. Okay. Did they finally figure out it was you who was playing all those pranks? No, they'll never catch me. I was talking with a colleague about the humans here, and I offhandedly mentioned that Ushio was going to come over. I don't like the way this is going. Ossie said some hours later, Anna barges into my office and says Ushio is off limits to anyone besides her as far as tests and experiments are concerned. Okay, so he works with Anna. Well, I'm not taking any samples. I could hardly be blamed for just looking at him. Yes, but that makes me wonder. Did I agree to visit her and undergo her rigorous testing regimen? Yeah. Good luck to you then. Oh, that sounds bad. Oh, and Lorem, have you seen my Ixamen sphere lately? Didn't you take it with you when you went to the park the other day? Yeah. Well, that's the last time I saw it. I must have lost it then. I already searched the whole apartment. Did you go into my room? Silence. No. That's such a shit liar. Maybe someone found it. I had it registered in my name when I got it, so if anyone found it, it should show up sooner or later. Okay, so what's an Ixamen sphere anyway? There was an instruction book of this in my apartment. I kinda went over it briefly. It's just a glorified toy for grown-ups, really. You have no idea what you're talking about. An Ixamen sphere is a very sophisticated tool with countless number of uses. Okay, so fill me in. It can levitate and follow you around, take photos. You can even use it as a calculator, making it a glorified toy for grown-ups. I use it for my experiments. Well, if they can take photos, I wouldn't need to stand around like this, that is, if we had it here now. It's a great companion for all situations in life. It's kind of like a version of a mobile phone by the sounds of it. It's much easier to draw from a live model than from a photo though. Easy for you maybe. I hope this doesn't take much longer because my arms went numb a while ago. Yeah, I think you can relax now. I'm nearly done with this one. A tingling sensation went up my arms as I relaxed. Slowly, I began to regain feeling in them. Okay, turn around. What? I thought we were done already. Not unless we want our humans to lack a backside. So that's what this is all about. You know what I mean. I know exactly what you mean. Ibsen, stop it. Isn't it my turn to draw you now? It's not how it works. Oh, come on. I wouldn't mind getting a portrait of myself. I can already see it. The light shining from above, caressing my luscious name, highlighting each lock as they interplay. This guy's... wow. It's going to be a long day. It depends on how fast you are, mate. As I was now facing the wall, I couldn't see what Lorem and Ibsen were doing. After a few seconds of silence, I heard some whispering coming from the couch. What are you talking about? I didn't want to be rude. I was just curious about your vestments, I mean my clothing. He said, and I quote, "This would be more interesting if it wasn't for those clothes Ushio is wearing." Okay. I'll see how it is. Really? Okay. I'm just saying, it would be hard to study an insect if there was a piece of cloth draped over it. Wearing that much just seems odd to me. I'm not an insect, mate. If humans wear clothes like this, it's only appropriate to depict them as such. And my scientific curiosity shall remain unsatisfied. Because Ushio is not here to do that, and you get in big trouble with Anna, this is true. We actually have a pretty big variety of vestments. I could tell you about that. Sounds good, but not right now. I've got to finish this up first. Fine. So Ibsen, I've heard a lot about experiments and science now, but what do you actually do? I work in the facility as a biologist with a minor in physics. In addition to the office, I also have my own setup here at home. I assure you, it's properly isolated from the rest of the apartment. It even has a fume hood to prevent accidents. That's good actually. But I only use it for the smallest of experiments, usually things unrelated to my job. Yeah, hobbyist. Okay, sounds interesting, fine. Don't get him started or we won't hear the end of it. Maybe you would like to talk about your hobby instead then, Lorem. Isn't this already a hobby? I guess you could say so. I was talking about his other hobby. Oh, what does he do? Oh, that. I don't know, it's a little embarrassing to be honest. What does he do? No need to be embarrassed about your hobbies. Wow. He likes flowers. Once, he even made a crown out of daisies. Cutest thing in the world. Don't listen to him. As usual, he only tells half the story. Okay, so what's the other half then? I have an extensive love for botany. The fern he keeps in his room must be the happiest plant alive. I find gardening to be very relaxing, especially with the birds that sing in the morning. It's so nice to go out there and have a nice cup of tea and work in the garden of our apartment building. Which reminds me, Ibsen here has quite an extensive tea collection, although I'm not sure if he prepares to hoard tea or gadgets. It's a mystery. I heard there was going to be a model of the Ixamen sphere that can actually make tea. That's going to be a must buy. Can it also make cups, or are you supposed to sip it out of the sphere itself? That'd be stupid. You two sound like an old couple. Couple? Us? Maybe? Not really. We've known each other for a long time though, if that counts. I think it does. By the way, Ibsen, you're not from here, are you? What's that supposed to mean? Well, you look nothing like any other dragon I've seen here so far. I suppose that's true for Lorem as well. You're both fairly small. But you, Ibsen, you also have hair, and that's certainly new to me, apart from Kevin. Kevin was a furry one as well. It's not as unusual as you might think, but you're right, there aren't many of us in these parts. I imagine being smaller than the rest of the population would come with its own challenges. It's not that big of a deal. If something's unreachable for me, I can fly. This apartment was actually intended to house one dragon of a bigger size. That not only makes it fairly cheap, but it's also big enough for the both of us. There's one thing I've been wondering, how do you even sit on one of those chairs? Wouldn't the backrest cause problems with your tails? See what you mean. For me, it's not a problem because most chairs are bigger than I am. It's just a question of getting in the right position. However, this might be different for those of us who mostly walk on four legs, but they usually don't use chairs like these at all. I've seen a few try though. I suppose they want to imitate humans this way. Even if they can't stand or walk like a human, they can try and sit like one. With varying results. Some I've seen look really funny trying to fit in chairs they are too big for, or sitting in odd ways that clearly don't work for their anatomy. Okay, fine. Lorem, you asked me about breath weapons last time, but I don't think you ever told me if you had one. Probably because it isn't worth mentioning. Wow. It may only be a very small flame, but it can get very hot. Okay, so what about you, Ibsen? Yes, Ibsen, what about you? My breath weapon is elocution, since words are more powerful than anything else. Sure, same as mine then. Okay, I'm done with this one. Turn around. Really? But staring at the wall's so much fun. Just go with it. Let's make one more. Maybe something dynamic. How dynamic are we talking? Something that isn't static, like the reference models I just did. You can strike a pose. Something that's just you. Okay. What kind of pose should I go for? What we got? Normal, thoughtful, swimwear pose. Let's go normal. What about this? Works for me, fine. By the way, did you get the groceries when you came home from work? Yep, just the usual. They really are like a couple, these guys. Are you too sure you're not in a relationship? I certainly am. Actually, Ibsen is deeply in love with his home laboratory. Oh yeah? I'm not even going to deny that. When I'm not working on something at the office, I do it here. Okay, so what are you up to now? I've been looking at the physics of teleportation. You're talking about the portal, right? Well, I don't have permission to even approach the portal, so I have to resort to a theoretical discussion on its mechanics and make do with what I can pull off in my home lab. Maybe I could tell you a few things. Isn't that like a secret kind of thing? Not necessary. I have already read all the available test reports. Okay, fine. Are you aware that using the portal could be incredibly dangerous? I'm not sure what you're talking about, mate. Then you don't have a complete understanding of what the portal actually does and what it means for our world at large. In order for the portal to function, a natural wormhole is required. It is trapped and becomes the portal's entry. The portal manipulates the wormhole's exit. This way, something can be sent to whichever destination is chosen. Now, there is a theory about the purpose of the natural wormholes in the universe. It states that they act as the support pillars of the space-time continuum. Okay, how? How to explain this? I think the video game analogy worked pretty well. Sure, in a video game, what happens when you meet the edge of the map? You hit a wall. That happens in some games, but in others, you reappear on the opposite side. That's some old school retro thing when that happens. Right. How does this happen? If our world was a perfect sphere, someone could just keep flying in the same direction and eventually they would end up at their starting point again. Sure, I get it. This is just a result of physics. In the abstraction of a video game, however, it doesn't work like that. They don't try and replicate a spherical world, but just use a 2D plane instead. It's getting confusing. Imagine a piece of paper with the world map printed on it. Okay. While it shows the entirety of the world, it's still just a simple flat piece of paper rather than a sphere, right? Sure. Let us assume that in a game, our world map looks like that. Now, what happens when we approach the edge and walk over it is that we are teleported to the opposite side. Okay. This doesn't actually make the game world a sphere, but rather a torus. A torus? You know, like a donut. If that's a comparison you want to make, if you get like a strip of paper and you twist it once and then attach it, you make like an infinite loop. You can do that. I can't remember the name of it, but that is a thing you can do. Okay, fine. Now, things are going to get really complicated now. Fine. Are you familiar with the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics? Let's say I'm not. Okay. It states that every single time a choice is made by any actor that possesses free will, the universe splits off into different branches. This means that for every choice you have made, there exists a branch of the universe where you made a different decision. This is getting very self-referential in terms of playing a visual novel. Now, I can't communicate with these other branches in any way. You don't know what would happen if you made a different decision just this morning. You can make an educated guess, but the only person who truly knows what would happen is that alternate you who made the decision and is living its consequences. That is, unless we could communicate with those other branches. However, there is a barrier that prevents us from doing that. This barrier is made up of wormholes. And how does that work? It's very similar to the torus world model that's used in games. As we approach the edge of our own world, the barrier causes us to end up on the other side instead. Does that mean we get teleported to the other side like in video games? Not necessarily. It would be just as correct to assume that our universe is shaped like a torus. I'm saying it like it's a Pokemon or something. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Anyway, so which is it? Do we get teleported or not? That depends on how you look at the wormholes' function. Imagine the sheet of paper is the entirety of the world. He took a sheet of paper from Lorem's stack and showed it to me, marking a spot near the edge with a pen. And this is where you live. Unfortunately, your workplace is here on the other side. He drew an X to the right edge of the paper. If the world is flat, this would be very unfortunate. However, if the world was a torus, the left and right edges would be connected. You could take the shorter route to work by going over the edge. Now let's say this is only possible because wormholes connect these two edges together. If you happen to be right at the very edge and look beyond, everything would look perfectly fine for you. Given that these wormholes stay in their place, you would never know that the world is actually flat, and that you could only travel to the other side because the wormholes connect the edges. You would think that the world is a torus. Okay, fine. However, what if the wormholes didn't actually bring you to the other side by teleporting you, but instead just bend the paper into the torus shape and hold the edges together? If these wormholes failed or were displaced, the paper would unfold, throwing the world into disarray. That's what the wormholes and the barrier actually do. They are what hold everything together. So they're really more like glue. If it wasn't for them, the overall construct would collapse on itself. What construct? The entirety of space-time. Wow. Now if these theories are true, that would mean that using a portal damages the barrier. Each time the portal is activated, the wormhole used for the teleportation is displaced, leaving a small gap where it used to be. Do this too often, and the overall system will destabilize eventually. Okay, maybe you shouldn't talk about the theories about how the world's going to end. Nothing's going to happen because the portal was just used a few times. I just hope humanity is aware of its implications. Maybe we can collaborate. I certainly hope so. Your researchers seem to know what they're doing. I just wish I could be a part of it. With everything that's going on, the future looks incredibly exciting. What do you think is going to happen, Ibsen? Now you're getting started. Don't say I didn't warn you. The knowledge contained within your PDAs could propel innovation forward by unseen lengths, meaning a lot more experiments for you to do, which would be terribly exciting. Personally, I'm more interested in the social implications. Okay, what do you mean? I don't expect there just to be a back and forth of ambassadors forever. Are you talking about colonies? Oh, I bet Lorem will jump at the opportunity to live in the human world. I'm not sure that's a good idea, mate. Why? Obviously, such an endeavour would need a lot of preparation. We would need to learn about their culture and adjust appropriately. I'd expect we send an ambassador over there long before that had happened though. We hardly know anything about their world. Everything's still up in the air as far as diplomatic relations go. We have no idea what the situation could be like in just a week. Yeah, that's exciting. Really? Don't get too excited though, or else you're going to ruin your drawing. It's almost done anyway. Here, what do you think? Lorem leaned over, holding up the paper to Ibsen. Ibsen looked at the paper closely, his gaze shifting back and forth between me and the paper several times. After a few seconds, he seemed to be finished with his evaluation. As a scientist, my professional opinion is that this part looks a little bit long. He pointed his sharp claw at a part of the paper Lorem was holding. Are you sure? Let me have another look. If I wasn't sure, I wouldn't have said so. I think you're right. That I am. Lorem reached for his eraser, purging a few lines from the paper before he switched to his pen again. And we're done. See, what would you ever do without me? I don't think I'd hear as many explosions in the middle of the night. You were happy about it when you forgot to set your alarm that one time. Yeah. Suddenly, the sound of an alarm resounded throughout the room. Better get that. Oh, experiment's done. Yeah, bye. Bye, Ibsen. And there he goes. Charming fellow, isn't he? Yeah. He certainly keeps things interesting around here, and he's a good art critic. I can imagine. Anyway, looks like we're done. Feels good being able to move again. Do you want to stay for dinner? It'd be the least I can do to compensate you for your lost afternoon. Let me see, what time is it? It's getting late. I probably shouldn't stay out this long. Looks like I'll have to decline this time. Okay, well, I've got to do something for you at least. Don't worry about it. Maybe another time. If you say so. Thanks for doing this. At any rate, it's been a huge help. I know, don't worry about it. Really, really. Fine. I've got to get going. Sure, take care. It's like an awkward goodbye. Like, go. Just go.